Hello and welcome back to Everywoman. Angelika Schrobsdorf escaped war-torn Germany in 1939. For the last 40 years, she's lived in Israel. But then the Israelis built the West Bank barrier, separating them from the Palestinians, something she felt very deeply was wrong. Now, at nearly 80 years old, Angelika has taken the difficult decision to move back to a Germany she barely remembers. She spoke to Jackie Rowland.
Angelika Schrobsdorf is saying goodbye to the country she's called home for the past 40 years. A refugee from Nazi Germany, she moved to Israel in the 1960s. But now she's packing up and returning to Berlin. Her life has come full circle.
You know, the Jews in Germany, they were very, very assimilated. They lived like the Germans, and they worked with the Germans. I was raised anything but Jewish. My mother kept it away, far away from me, that she's Jewish, and with that, I'm Jewish. I was not raised in any kind of religion. My father immediately also stopped, though he was a Christian. This, my father in uniform, he was for half a year as an officer in the army.
The Second World War tore the family apart. Angelika and her mother fled to Bulgaria. It was many years before she moved to Jerusalem, and she arrived knowing little about the situation.
I was apolitical. I was like all the others, I must say it with shame. I had closed my eyes, my ears, my mouth, everything. I didn't want to be bothered by this conflict and by this problem. The Jewish problem was enough for me. In December '87, the first Intifada broke out. It was a terrible shock. My eyes, ears and mouth opened. And I saw what had happened all the time.
Angelika was already a published author. Now she channeled all her energy into writing about the conflict.
I never believed that writers, if you want to call me a writer, can change anything. I never believed it. It happened in 1, 2, 3 maybe times. But otherwise, forget it. Writers can't do anything. And I did my share. I did the best I could. And I exposed myself in a way that everybody said, "You're mad." Many connections broke because of that. I broke them up, and others broke them. I really, the last book, I didn't stop. I didn't stop. I went very far, very, very far. Nobody here, and in Germany, you know, the Germans are such cowards. Not only cowards, they have this terrible conscience against the Jews. So they don't dare to open their mouth. So I do it. And then they tell me, yes, you can do it because you live in Israel and you're Jewish and so on. Please, I tried my best. It's not worth anything.
Angelika had an even greater shock in 2002 when the second Intifada began. From her terrace, she watched as the Israelis built their West Bank barrier, separating her from her Palestinian friends.
It's against my conscience, absolutely, and more against my conscience, and I have to leave.
So she makes one last trip to the West Bank village of Beit Jalla to say goodbye to her Palestinian friends. Angelika has been a regular guest of the Mukaka family. Through them, she's learnt about life under the Israeli occupation. They're sad she's leaving, but they understand why.
I can understand the decision because myself, every day, I ask myself, is it better to stay or better to go? She watched the wall every day, and I think I can understand her, but in my heart, I wish she will stay. So.
Bye. Take care, yeah?
You take care.
Yeah.
Stay healthy.
Hopefully we
Stay
hear from
healthy.
you always, yeah?
Yes.
Don't forget us.
Never.
Okay.
Never. Okay, ich gehe jetzt.
Okay. Take care.
Yes, I will.
And we wish her all the best of luck, of course. Now, as a young Zulu girl growing up in the impoverished eastern region of South Africa, Nontsikelelo Biela knew nothing about the wine industry, although she did learn how to brew beer. But then fate stepped in. In 1999, Nontsiki won a scholarship and the chance to learn the art of winemaking. She's now one of South Africa's top new winemakers and one of its very few black female ones.
I'm from KwaZulu-Natal. We don't have wine. We don't have grapes. When you say wine to me in those days, I thought cider. Now that I know it's ciders, that's what I call wine. I got recruited from high school to come and study winemaking. And I took a chance.
At 28, Nsiki Biela is the first black South African woman to obtain a degree in winemaking. From a poor rural background, she won a bursary, placing her at the forefront of a new generation of winemakers.
When suddenly the sponsor hands me down to come and do winemaking, I was like, why not? Okay, for starters, like it's an Afrikaans university. I came in the hostel. I was the only black person in the hostel. Comes to classes, in the classes, the lecturers goes on, no, and then you hear everyone is bursting out laughing, and you look around. Okay, everyone's laughing. There was a joke. Everybody's laughing. You didn't even get a joke because you didn't even understand what they were saying. Actually, my main responsibilities is to make sure that in the vineyards, to make sure for the time of harvesting, what time we must harvest, to get the grapes in at the right time, do the winemaking process and organizing people to work with who are helping me for the harvest. Among all the work I did, I think pruning was the most difficult one. Not being difficult, but you know, when you get out of the vineyard after pruning, you feel your hands, you can't do anything. You know, your hands are swollen. That was my first day. And I did the pruning for 5 weeks. And the viticulturist said to me, he's doing this so that I know when I'm working with people in the vineyards, I mustn't stand behind the people and expect them to work. I will understand how it feels. And he was right.
South Africa's wine industry is very profitable and dominated by white men. So Nsiki really is a pioneer.
The previous winemaker was an old man. It's an old Afrikaans man. So all of a sudden there comes a black woman, a kid in front of them. I was scared personally. I was scared to death. I'm like, gosh, how am I? In my culture, I can't send an older person to do something. Okay? But now this is a business world. I have to do that if it has to happen. Whatever was happening, that's what was keeping me, pushing me forward to say, you know what? I want to bid this all because I know when I'm on the other side, I'm going to look back and say, oh, I did it. You know, so it's that feeling after climbing the mountain and you're on top of the mountain, you're like, wow, I made it. Being someone's role model is it's very difficult. Because now, there was this girl, she came to me, she said, I'm her role model. You know, now you feel you have this pressure that you shouldn't make anything go wrong because someone is looking at you, want to be that.
Nsiki makes a range of red wines and she's passionate about them all. One in particular is very special to her.
You know, and then I have the Cape Cross, which is the, that one I think, besides its character, it's the wine with a story.
What is the story?
The story is you get in the bottle.
Yes.
So you drink the bottle and it tells you the story.
Do you have a favourite amongst what you've done?
That's my problem at the moment because I'm not sure if I'm being biased or what, because I love my wines. I love my wines.
A woman who loves her job there. And that's it for this week. You can get in touch with us by emailing everywoman@aljazeera.net. We'd love to hear from you. From all the team for now, bye-bye.